Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including The Owl House, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Sarah Dolman.
Hello.
Aly Martin.
Hi.
And Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
The Owl House Season 1 has concluded today. And we are here to react to the big finale of Season 1, Young Blood, Old Souls, also Agony of a Witch, aired last week, and we have not talked about it yet, so we'll talk about both of these episodes here on this Season 1 finale reactions podcast for The Owl House. We've been podcasting on Season 1 of The Owl House. Find us at overlyanimated.com. If you want to subscribe to us on your podcast app, search for Owl House Overly Animated. You should find our Owl House feed or our main feed, and our YouTube is youtube.com/overlyanimated, where you can subscribe to not miss our Owl House podcast as well. A lot of hype for some of these discussions we've been having. We're going to talk about some different things probably on this one, but we'll get to Lumity. If you're listening for Lumity, we'll still talk about it.
We'll make it happen.
How
can we not?
Of course, yeah. But first, the finale just aired. Make sure you've seen it. Youngblood Old Souls, aired on the app, out on TV tonight. Make sure you've seen all of the Season 1 of The Owl House. Come back and listen. Big spoiler warning starting now. Let's get your reactions to this finale. Sarah, what were your big reactions to Youngblood Old Souls?
Yeah, I really liked it. And I thought, especially on rewatch, thinking about sort of like the themes of the show and how it's sort of developed across this first season, I think it was just a really wonderful encapsulation of everything the show has been trying to do. Minus the Lumity, but that's okay. Because, I think it was really just like an ode to how far Luz has come in her journey. Like her development of self-confidence and her sense of belonging with with all the people there in, I can't even remember where it's called now, Bonesborough, the Boiling Isles. But yeah, I thought it was like a really beautiful, heartwarming finale that, had some like interesting, backstory that we got. It was like a slightly quieter episode, I think, than maybe some of like the other bigger finale, like the Agony of the Witch had. Agony of the Witch had, that big fight scene, and it was very intense. And I thought this had a lot going on, but it felt like just like slightly quieter, but maybe more emotional to me. But yeah, I was really happy with it, and yeah, I thought it was a great end to the season.
Nice. Yeah, we can talk about maybe the difference in quieter. It's interesting. We can get into that. Aly, what were your big reactions to the finale, though?
Well, I really thought it was going to be left on a much more like traumatic cliffhanger, if that makes sense. But I was overall really satisfied, even if like Amity was sort of lacking in this episode. We're going to get to it, but I think it was like kind of justified, because pretty much like what Sarah said, this show, not that it's about Luz, but she is the main character, and it's, I think, more important to see how far she's come and how far she's still going to go. I think it did feel a little fast-paced, but I think that's also partly because we're used to having like 20 episodes instead of 19 in a season. It's like a weird odd number thing. But I think they did it pretty well. Like nothing really felt off except for, I only want more. I don't know. I'm glad that we focused like more on the plot and got backstory to some characters, maybe like hinted at some other things. Like I have passages here from the book that I want to address later, but I don't know. I liked it. Overall, I really liked it. I want more. I'm not ready for this hiatus. That's just how I feel right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we can do that.
We'll be sad about that at the end of the podcast.
I'm sad about it now.
I like the passages from King's book pulled. That's good.
Yeah.
We can get into that. Yeah, that was an interesting opening. Okay, Michelle, what were your main reactions to the finale?
I honestly was expecting a lot of high drama just based on the cliffhanger of Agony of a Witch. I agree with Sarah. This felt a little quieter, but I think that's in part just because like there was so much like info dumping they wanted to give us right up top, and then they had like a lot of flashbacks to get to, and they decided to very quickly try to make Lilith a lot more sympathetic than I was expecting, because like I was ready to defend Lilith. Like I know a lot of people were like so mad at her from the last episode. I feel like in a way Luz kind of embodied all that fandom anger, and it was like kind of hilarious. But then like yeah, they complicated it so quickly and gave us so much context, and now it seems like while that's not completely resolved between them, I think they're way closer to mending the relationship than they were before. And that's like a really nice way to end the season, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of plot stuff in this episode, and I feel like I'm curious about the direction next season's going to take based off of like some pretty big changes they've made with characters now. And some characters became more important than I thought they were going to be. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I feel like last episode was so good for just like emotional highs and lows and just like feeling like so like invested, but also scared because you want everyone to be okay. And this one was a lot more like setting up things for next season, kind of closing out some of those loose plot threads and like kind of trying to balance plot with like emotions left over from the last episode. I think they did a pretty good job. And yeah, I'm left wanting more, just like Aly, like I want a lot more of the show.
We all want more, yeah. Okay. Well, again, at the end, we can talk about when's it coming back. We'll talk about season 2.
In case you weren't sure how we felt.
Yeah, okay, yeah. In case you weren't sure, yeah. I really, really like the finale. I think, like, if this wasn't gonna have my faves, Amity and Lumity in it, then this is as good as I think it could have gone. I was really impressed by this finale. This is more my speed than your Agony of the Witch, which is, like, this really drama, devastating. You know, like, it was good, yes. But I'm like, this is more of, like, I think more of a typical fantasy finale. There's a lot of, like, world building in here. I thought it was handled really well. There's a lot of Lilith stuff. I think this is Lilith's best episode by far. It's not a character I'd super connected with in the past, but I thought she really came together here. I think the Edith stuff was handled really well. Everything was fast paced. I really enjoyed that. I think Owl House is different in that it's a full half-hour show. Some episodes I think have a little bit struggled to stretch the half hour, and I did not feel that way at all. Like, there's tons jam-packed in here, and I really like that personally. Yeah, I think it was a great episode for Luz's character. I see the quieter, like, definitely less drama, but I saw this as the climax of the season. I saw this as, like, the big moments for Luz and Luz's arc. And some of the themes we're getting into, this definitely felt like a bookend to the first episode, going back to the conformatorium. I liked that concept. I didn't know what we were doing. We're going to go back to the palace. Like, that seems weird. I like this approach. Still face off with the Emperor. Still leave us in a status quo, but having a much better idea of the mythology of the show, which I'm excited to talk about. Because I think going into these last episodes, we didn't really understand anything about the Emperor, the overall, like, what's going on, and have a much better sense. Now we brought the portal back in, I think, in a good way. So I think basically all the big themes of the season, with the potential exception of Lumity, which I kind of saw Grom as a climax to that. We'll talk about that. I think we're really brought to a head here. I was impressed by this finale for sure. And also Agony, we're talking about Agony of the Witch too. I was impressed by that one too. I even more enjoyed the finale for me.
What about Hootie, though? I want your take. We
why,
needed more
though?
Hootie.
I think that Hootie, there's plenty of Hootie in Agony of a Witch.
He wasn't here for the finale, though. At least Amity had a screen time.
I don't think the 3 seconds of Amity, who's a more important character than Hootie. Is that a hot take? That Amity's a more important character than Hootie?
Yes. Depends who you ask.
Yeah, it depends who you ask.
Everyone's in love with Hootie, all of us. That's all the... apparently, when there's no Lumity in the episodes, all the fandom talks about is Hootie.
Yeah,
he could have helped storm the castle. Things would have gone maybe smoother.
He took out Lilith's whole guard and her, and he wasn't even trying. Like, for all we know, he was sleep hooting the whole time through that. Like, imagine what he could do with the Emperor.
Yeah. He was impressive in the second to last episode, Hootie. Okay, we can come back to Hootie. I don't know how much, we'll see what there's to talk about, but Sarah brought up, I think, Luz, and Sarah's had so much great things to say about Luz's arc, I think, throughout this season of Owl House podcast, so I'd be interested in your take, Sarah, on what elements of Luz kind of came to a head in this finale.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really interesting is, we start out the Young Blood Old Souls with Luz blaming herself for Ida getting captured, and she takes unto herself the responsibility for going and saving her. And, on the one hand, it's Luz, don't blame yourself. It clearly wasn't your fault. And, Ida explains this to her, but also, she feels confident that she can actually save Ida. And throughout the whole season, we've, seen her, be oh, I can go do this. I'll be the person that does the Grom person that fights Grom and like all these other things. But like here, like we really see her like actual like witch skills really like have like blossomed so much, like literally and not literally, because she can do all that really awesome plant magic. But like she's extremely determined to save Ida, and she's become like super clever, super skilled with all of the glyphs. And like it was something that she was concerned about at the beginning of like she doesn't really fit in, she doesn't do things the way other people do. She doesn't want to conform to other people's standards, but she also really wants to be taken seriously as a witch. And I think that like her confidence is just like really grown, and she was able to help save Ida in ultimately, and she was able to use magic really effectively in a lot of ways, and she feels really proud of herself at the end. And I just felt like so heartwarmed for her by the end, where she's sharing with her mom like, yeah, I chipped off part of the Emperor's little mask thing, like he doesn't have all the power, and you know, she's got so many people around her that care about her and support her. And so that's really come a long way of her feeling like she's, you know, capable and can be confident in herself, and that she has people around her that are supporting her. And that's basically my Luz spiel. I'm really happy with how things have gone for Luz.
Yeah, that's great. I was really struck by two aspects of Luz, and the first one is what you talked about in Luz's confidence. I mean, I think Luz is always kind of a confident person in terms of her quirkiness. But like her confidence in her magic. I mean, she was just firing off those glyphs in the finale.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Confortorium guy. He was the big bad of the pilot. She takes him out in 2 seconds.
That's
in the
so
finale.
true. Oh man,
I was shocked.
And she's like, draw me a map. Like she just like goes for
that was a great
it.
joke.
And he does it.
Yeah,
and after that, the second in command is like chastising him about it. He's like, I can't believe you drew her a map. Like, come on.
Yeah, but that, you know, at the end she threatens Kiki, and Kiki frees them. She takes on the Emperor and she chips him. You know,
chips him.
What?
Oh,
not Shira chip, not that type of chip. Like chips his mask. And he seems so invincible, and you know, she makes a physical dent, which I really like that aspect.
Then he becomes Sans Undertale.
Okay, I don't know about that. Maybe.
Yeah, I want to say, like, you know, she had the help of having the cape, the magic cape that protected her. But I also think, like, what I wanted to just add on to what you said, like, you know, she has been throughout the whole season, like, really confident. But I think that there's those two different levels of confidence, where it's like, yes, she kind of puts on a confident front to try to feel like she's capable, but she's underlying that is a lot of self-doubt. And so I feel like that has sort of risen to be like more like she actually does feel like she's capable and doesn't have that lingering doubt beneath the confidence that she puts forward.
Yeah, I think that sounds definitely right, and we've seen kind of these introspective moments from Luz throughout the season, and she just this incredible display of confidence. The second aspect of Luz, I was really surprised by this, her intensity, her anger at certain points. Luz is just this happy, carefree kind of person who's always like this, at least puts on this upbeat facade, and she was just actively kind of give me Appa back type of angry with Ida.
I'm glad you were bringing up Avatar, because never mind, I'll get to it.
Yeah, well, I'm worried now, but
don't be
Owl Librarian. I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I think she's just so intense. I don't know. My Lumini brain is like the big difference between Luz and Amity. Amity has this intensity, and I didn't get that from Luz before, but now they're maybe more of a match than I had anticipated. I think it was like I think that goes hand in hand with her confidence, I think, to a large aspect.
I think her decision making has also, I don't know if it's like improved, but it's definitely become more like strong, for lack of a better term. Like with her blowing up the portal, first of all, like I was getting like strong, obviously like She-Ra vibes, but also kind of reverse. I was thinking of Korra, like how she opened the portals. Either way, it was like for other people's well-being. So she's putting other people before, you know, her self, I guess. I mean, with her mom, it's kind of complicated, but I think it was a very unexpected decision. I mean, when she was handing him the briefcase, I was like, are you really, you're really doing this? But then, like, she pulled an anime twist because she knows all of them.
Oh
and
my
she's
gosh,
the bad
from?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the bad boy. She knows what she's doing.
The bad boy.
But also at the end when, like, I mean, this is kind of spoilers for the end, but when it's
We're in
revealed that
spoilers.
Ida and Lilith, yeah, fair, that they can't do magic and that she's going to teach them human magic, that just made me so emotional. Like, she's come, like, from the beginning, she's, like, explaining to Amity in that one episode, like, it doesn't come naturally to me, I have to improvise. But, like, in the end, it doesn't matter. Like, you can still be powerful with the power that you have to you, like, as long as you use it correctly. Like, she's just going to be such a great young adult character for kids to look up to, and just in general, I really like her characterization in this.
Yeah, and she hasn't allowed herself to be limited by that. She doesn't like internally have the ability to do magic, and like I think that's something that's really like, because I have my notes out that I had taken for the premiere, and I'm just looking and it's like, yes, this is exactly like Luz. Like, she just wants to be herself. She doesn't want to be limited by like what either the real world or the magic world can handle. And yeah, she just like learns how to be really great in her own terms, and I just love it so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, going back to the violence, she was like all about anarchy in the first half of this episode, breaking the TVs and stepping on the grass. She's a zoomer. It's perfect. She's so good.
She's stepping on the grass for a purpose.
In this episode.
Yeah, for anarchy.
Yeah.
Go to jail.
That was a really good
crime,
comedic
yay.
moment too. I think those are the two that I remember: the grass and then the draw me a map.
It was. The humor in the show really hits it on the nose.
This finale is very polished to me, including the humor. I was impressed. The moment of Luz putting the glyphs on the briefcase, it looks like, but it's the portal, right? Like whatever you got. Yeah, that's such a impactful moment. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, the finale. Luz, I like Luz pulling that off. I think definitely like this maybe the culmination of her confidence in addition to facing off against the Emperor. And then I love the talking about the scene with Ida at the end and how maybe their dynamic has flipped. And see, this season's big aspect is Ida as a mentor to Luz. And, then Luz might have to now mentor Ida a little bit in terms of the special magic she's learned, which we see
It's
Ida.
the reverse trope.
Reverse trope. We see that Ida can do it too, which was really, really beautiful. Yeah. And also playing into the found family, which we could talk about too, which I think ties into Lilith. Any other brief Luz comments, but we can also get to it at any point.
Her being back on Earth for like 5 seconds made me really emotional.
Yeah, we can talk about Earth and the portal and stuff, but yeah, that was a good scene too. We get this. We've been talking about the found family, I think, with Ida, Luz, and King, and now we're adding Lilith to that. So let's talk about Lilith. I was just struck by the fandom's reaction to Lilith after the second to last episode. A lot of anger. And then we get the reversal in this episode. Michelle, walk me through kind of how you felt about Lilith these past 2 weeks.
Well, of course I was upset when we found out the shocking revelation that she was the one who cursed Ida. Like, I honestly hadn't expected that, and I hadn't seen a lot of people guessing that either. I think we assumed this was like a very long game thing. We'd find out in like season 3 or 4 who actually cursed Ida. But no, it's her sister. We found out in episode 18. Surprise. Because their whole like rift, but still kind of like trying to find out how to bond as adults has been such a big part of the first season. By the time we got to that reveal, like, it seemed pretty clear that it was a very regretful decision that she had made, and it was also made when they were both children, which complicates it, and it's implied it's been this secret for so long that she's regarded, but also hasn't reversed, which is like also like not great, but so I think like even if we hadn't gotten like so much information to back up her side of this for this episode, I was still going to go in pretty hard being like, look, like, there's probably layers to this. I do think the fact that like Ida seems to be inherently like better at magic than her, and her being the younger sister, like I definitely understand how that could be a really big insecurity for Lilith, and how that colored her decision to curse her sister when she was also like a teenager, which isn't like the best time in your life to be making life-changing decisions. Even though she does like say like, oh well, I only thought it'd last for a day, like I didn't think she'd have this curse for life. But I mean, I appreciate getting all this because, like, to me, this means, like, because we've given all the backstory so quickly after, like, the reveal, the show may now like want to kind of move past this part of like their whole rift that's been such a big part of the first season, and maybe they're going to start really focusing on mending their relationship in season 2. And I am really glad that Lilith took, like, she did the, you know, we got the spell thing again where she took like half the burden on. Because, like, honestly, objectively, while, like, Ida doesn't deserve any of the curse, I do think it's a little more fair that Lilith take on half of it since she's the one who cursed her in the first place. And that's now a new layer to both their lives they can kind of share. Like, not, like, in a nice way, but just in a, like, they're going to have that extra layer of understanding each other. And I think that's something Lilith's going to gain a lot more perspective of if she turns into, like, a half-owl lady every month or something now for the rest of her life or whatever. So I really like it. I love seeing sibling like strugs, honestly. Like it's so like complicated, right? Like siblings are tough, and sometimes stuff like this can happen, and it's so much harder to fix things when you're an adult, because by then you don't live in the same house, you don't go to the same school, like you really have very separate lives, and you can be as little involved with each other as you want. So I think for the show to tackle an adult sibling relationship is kind of like a really nice layer that I don't think we see a lot. I mean, you can be like, yeah, Gravity Falls did that, but like still it's different. Plus these are ladies, so it's just going to be a little different.
And they're not twins.
I really like it. Yeah, there's an age gap, and that's like a whole, like, I feel like the age gap is it was so important when they were kids. And I don't know, like, side note, like, young Ida's voice, like, gave me so much life. She sounded so cool. I was shook.
I thought they did a great VA choice for that.
Yes. Yeah. Wait, for the flashbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the flashbacks.
It was done really well. I kind of thought Ida's kid voice was, like, her pitch changed for a minute.
I was wondering that. I don't know.
Really
I didn't check the credit.
You can check the credits.
It's definitely a different actor, but it sounded just like her. I was very impressed.
I know. Yeah. It fits so well.
Yeah.
She got the mannerisms. Whoever did it was exactly the same.
Yeah, like the flashbacks. So we brought up the sharing the burden spell moment, gorgeous moment of the finale.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably that and the in addition to the setting the briefcase on fire, probably the two biggest moments for me of the finale. That was like really, I think, and a really good tie back to the flashbacks. That was interesting interpretation that maybe they still both have the curse to a certain extent. I interpreted it as neither probably has the curse anymore, but the consequences.
But their eyes, like there's a physical, I feel like their eyes both turning gray, just the one eye is like how you, and I think Lilith also had like
she had a strand of gray
in her hair. Yeah. So I feel like they both have it to some extent, but it's not clear how much it'll manifest since it's like half of a full curse.
Definitely the big thing we know is that Ida can't do magic anymore. Lilith's magic seems to be diminished. It's possible that's it. It's possible the curse manifests. I mean, because so I'll say, I think this makes a lot of sense with what was presented last episode. I think people were, I don't want to say rush to judgment or anything, but like it's a strong reaction to Lilith from one episode. The emotions were high, but it was clear to me that Lilith ultimately wanted Ida cured, and that was part of her motivation, was bringing Lilith the Emperor to cure, and now we know the Emperor was tricking her. Number one. Number two, she didn't think the curse was going to be permanent when she did it, and it's like, okay, maybe we wait for the full explanation before we start getting super angry. I also, she was obviously not thinking things through in multiple points, including at the end when she's older. I
will say, like, it was a little strange to me that, like, because Ida turned down the fight, right, like the placement fight, and so clearly was doing that to honor Lilith as her sister, as a sign of respect, knowing she could win. I thought it was weird that, like, Lilith didn't try faster to fix her curse just because, like, they were on such good terms. And it's like, well, she was so clearly, like, trying to do it in your best. Like, I'm assuming it was just guilt all these years that kept her from trying to change her back. But I don't know. That did kind of make it like, well, like, just apologize then. It's only been a day.
Yeah,
like, you could fix it now.
The thing that didn't make fully sense to me is that if she could have undone the curse, why did she need the Emperor? But I guess the explanation at the end is that in order to undo the curse, she needs to take a hit to her own magic, so she's trying to avoid that? Is that what happened?
Probably.
No,
and they also...
I think it's it's a separate spell. I think she bought that scroll on the witch black market, and she's like, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna try it out. And it's like maybe like a really powerful, really like obscure curse. So they don't actually know what the real, like maybe the Emperor knows what the real curse removal is, but I think she just sidestepped it by doing the other. Like, that's
what it seemed like then. I think we'd heard that potentially the only person that can undo a curse is the person that casts it, or a spell. I think we'd heard that earlier in the show. That didn't seem to apply here.
Yeah.
But maybe the only one that can take on the burden is the person who casts it. But it's kind of unclear.
I just want a backstory of what happened like immediately after that. Like maybe Lilith did look for Ida, but she flew off. Like who knows where the heck she went? And then Lilith was pretty much taken in by the Emperor's Coven. Like she didn't have a choice at that point because she won by default, and she was already like seemingly regretting it. I don't know. I want more backstory.
Yeah, she might have been taken in immediately. I got the impression from the second to last episode, the Emperor's Coven is basically the court of the Emperor. Like they live there in the castle in a traditional medieval court fashion.
Yeah,
right. So she probably immediately just went to live there.
Gross.
So gross. By the way, I don't see young Lilith or Ida credited as voices in, so it's possible they were pitched in versions.
Whoa, no way!
Wow! Oh my god, young Ida sounds so good though. Stand harder.
Stand harder. No
any other big Lilith reactions? How do we feel about her now? Are we good with Lilith, or is it tepid?
I will say, as a younger sister who has like a really crappy older sibling, at first I was also like really upset with what she did, but I knew there had to be a reason, because you don't make a character like that unsympathetic. But I mean, I like how she was handled. It's still like it shouldn't be forgiven, but she's working on a path to redeem herself. Like she's not fully redeemed. She's just starting to redeem herself now, and I think that's really valid. I like that she's going to be a part of the team and hopefully try to be a better person. Luz is going to hopefully make her a better person or help in that. I really liked it.
Yeah. Sarah, what do you think Lilith is next? Is it fully part of the team? Maybe she could be like a vigilante figure, or is she like fully on board with Ida and Luz?
I don't know. What I was thinking about towards the end was like was she forced at this point to leave the coven because they're going to petrify her along with Ida, or does she have the option of returning, or does she have to basically stay? I think the interesting thing is clearly she cares about Ida and didn't really want to risk Ida's life, but she also has this competing desire of greatness and following the Emperor. She has that ambition, and it's I think that I think it's always going to be a part of her that's going to be striving for that, considering she was willing to risk Ida with the curse in the first place, although she was a child then, but clearly it's very important to her. And if she believed that there was a way to heal Ida's curse without having to capture Ida and bring her to the Emperor, then maybe she would have done that. But on the other hand, does she care, part of her that really wants to be part of the Emperor's Coven is stronger, and so she basically rationalized I can have Ida join and I can remain part of the Coven. So I don't know, I think it's really complicated, and I don't really know what we're gonna see from Lilith, but I think that competing priorities is still going to be there for her.
That never really goes away when you have a sibling, as sad as that sounds. Even if you do have a good relationship, there is always going to be some element of competition between you two. I mean, maybe not always, but a lot of the time. I want to know, did their parents push them to join the coven, or did their parents push them to like the coven? I don't know. It seems
we didn't
like they had
really
some sort of
see
influence.
Why that was so important to Lilith.
Well, she said she wanted to help make the world a better place, but also.
Yeah. But also I think I don't know, honestly, I think it's the hot new thing, right? It's only been around less than 50 years at that point. There's probably a lot of flyers and stuff oh man, you don't want to miss out. But also Lilith's insecurities seem like such a big part of her character. So for her, she doesn't feel like she's as good as her younger sister. She wants to be seen as a powerful, cool, keepable witch. And this is the most prestigious thing that will give her that sense of credibility, right? So of course she wants to join that. I think about the times in the earliest episodes we saw how she was framed as because she's the top of the Emperor's Coven. She's the main person of that coven. And that's the highest title someone who's not the Emperor could probably have, doing what she does. And I think that title means a lot to her. but that's still because she has insecurity about her capabilities compared to Ida. And it does like suck that she's like held on to that even as like an adult. So I feel like, honestly, like it's gonna take Lilith finding a way to feel confident in her abilities outside of like her relationship to Ida for her to probably feel like a more complete person, you know, for her to find her own strongest self. Like it can't be in relation to Ida. I feel like that hasn't proven to be a very healthy thing for her in terms of her feeling complete and happy. And like I do think it's like extra sad that for her being the top person in this hierarchy, like all she ever was told to do was like go get her sister, because like even though Ida didn't even want to be in the coven, like things like that was Lilith's childhood dream, but Ida was just like, I'll like train with you and like I don't care. It really mattered to Lilith because she was the one who wanted that sense of, she wanted this system to define her sense of self and to feel important. And like,
wow,
that's
and it was all defined by Ida in the end.
And like, I know, doesn't that suck? She worked her way up. She's the top person, and all the Emperor tells her, he's like, oh, that's cool, but can you capture her sister? She's really the one we need to like,
that's such a bummer.
Take care of right now. Like, that's so, I can't imagine how like,
that's awful.
Not like insulting, but just like demoralizing that is when it,
and
you
it
spent
can be taken as demeaning, you know?
Yeah.
That's your trauma through your whole life, and then it comes back to you.
I really think like her not being attached to the coven's going to do her a world of good, and maybe she can take some time even away from Ida to just figure herself out. Like, what does she actually want? I mean, clearly the Emperor lied straight up to her. Like, I don't know if she's going to be conflicted about that for too long. Maybe she can really do something completely different now and be really good at that and just feel better about herself on her own, maybe. I don't know, but that's why I like Lilith. She's just like, she's got some big flaws, but man, they're relatable. I get it.
Characters with flaws are the best.
They are.
It's a broad statement.
That's why we love Hootie. Hootie's so fun.
What? No, come on. I mean, I agree that he's flawed, okay?
Wow. Oh, okay. You can agree with that.
I'll agree with that part. No, I think that was great discussion on Lilith. And yeah, maybe the best thing for Lilith is not to be good, live in the Owl House. I going back to what Sarah said, it is a little unclear if she's banished from the Coven. At the beginning of the episode, she expressed this desire to go back to the Emperor's Coven. But she is also sent to be petrified. So do they want her back? It is, but she's with them at the end. It gives you the impression that she's on Ida's side now, but it might not be the case. So we'll have to see.
They definitely don't want her back, like, in the Coven. They just want to capture her, because they said they're going to be, like, stalking the people who live in the house now, so that's not a good sign for her.
I mean, you know, we don't get explicit mention, I think, of Lilith. And back to the Emperor just sends her to find Ida. I don't get the impression the Emperor has many people he really lets in very close, if any. Like, Lilith should be one of those people. Kiki, maybe.
Kiki, can we talk about Kiki? Like, I know she's not like a priority.
Kiki Mora.
I get such like, not like Umbridge vibes from her, but just like, I feel like she's like, honestly, like I know the Emperor's very powerful, but I swear, like if anything happened to the Emperor, she would become the big bad
what
so
if she
fast.
Is the big bad, like
that's
for the ultimate.
Is she the Titan in disguise?
Yeah, or something.
Is this your new theory?
Like, honestly,
the Titan is
Kiki's
like
someone has to be the Titan.
Going up her sleeve. She's always there. She's so calculating. She seemed personally so bothered by like the end of the episode. Like, I can't believe like Luz got away. Can't believe like Ida got away.
Had a grudge against Lilith like this whole time. You could
like,
tell an Agony of a witch too. She had like an attitude.
On with her, this tiny lady.
I don't like her.
Do we stand? Do we stand?
No,
I stand.
No.
I stand.
I think she's
like
more
her.
dangerous than Bellows because we just don't know enough.
I mean,
but she's more calculating. I think.
Why do you
already.
stand? Dylan, why do you stand?
Her name's Kiki.
Dylan
Obviously, I stand.
This is his, like, I stand Hootie, so he'll stand Kiki. This is what it is.
Yeah, if too many people start standing Kiki, I'll get off. But for now, I'm on the Kiki.
It has to be the subversive stand.
Yeah, that's why I would stand Hootie, but no, like everyone loves him, so I'm done. No, Kiki, we need someone who's like a loyalist to the Emperor. Like now that Lilith's gone, we only have Kiki, and then we meet this new guy who's going to be stalking them at the end briefly. But really, like we need someone who's not the Emperor, who's on the Emperor's side, that we have some sort of idea of who they are.
Like, okay, this means so Lilith isn't in the Covenant anymore, and she was Amity's mentor. What if freaking Kiki is going to be her mentor now? That's going to be terrible. I don't want that.
Okay, let's transition because that plot did not seem to come up.
That's a big transition, here. I know, but like...
let's talk. This is early for this... I was going to bring up even earlier. It's early for this discussion, but here's my justification. A lot of people subscribe to our YouTube channel because we had been talking about Lumity for the past 3 podcasts almost exclusively. So people are going to be like, where's the Lumity? Okay, so now we talk about where's the Lumity? Where's Amity?
Where is it?
Amity
here.
was in
it's
these.
been here
Who's
all along.
Amity?
Who's Amity? Yeah, Amity herself foreshadowed this. No, but she was in each episode for like 3 seconds. I did try to warn you guys at the end of the last podcast. But let's talk about it. Like, is this what? First of all, like, what was the reaction? Like, we all love Amity. We're all very attached to Lumity. Lumity was the #1 topic in the Owl House fandom, and there's 0 Lumity in these last 2 episodes. In the finale, the big finale of season 1, like, are we upset about that? Do we accept it? Sarah, how are you feeling?
I accept it. I think that, what we needed to do in terms of the Ida and Lilith stuff and the Luce's journey stuff, I think that it made sense how they did it. And I think that, it's like, of course they put Amity in a cast because there had to be an explanation for her to not be there helping Luce every step of the way.
Yes, that was why I thought that was going to happen. Yeah.
And then she had a sling, so maybe she heard it even more. Like, what?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Dylan was right about this one, but I think that, we
this
did...
one.
Shots fired.
But we did, we got really great stuff that culminated with Grom and Wing It Like Witches, and I think that it really still opens up to so much more happening in season 2, and I think, I was on the train that, like, I didn't think that it would make sense to, like, have a Lumity culmination in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice if there was a moment, but because there was so much to squish in, there definitely wasn't time for it. Unless they maybe, instead of doing the Willow and Gus crowd uprising, maybe there could have been something with Amity, but I thought that was good too, because I like that part, but like, I like that part because it was, having everybody recognize that it's valuable to be a witch in different ways than the ways that are being prescribed by the Emperor, and I'm curious to see what happens with that moving forward. Okay, but back to Lumity. I think that I just wanted to get that thought out. I think that I'm just really excited to see what happens in season 2. I think that, like, bringing it out to then gives a lot of time to really grow in a really natural way. And so I'm not upset. I mean, I would have liked a moment, but I'm okay.
Okay, you're okay. That's good. Big Lumity shipper. Yeah, Aly, briefly, okay with no Lumity or feeling meh about it?
It's kind of both. I mean, I'm really just going to echo what Sarah said. Like, it's fine. It makes a lot of sense that there was not, like, anything happening with Lumity now, partly because she's in a cast and also because we had a lot more important things to focus on. Amity's, like, my favorite character. I know, like, I say this about everybody, but she's actually my favorite character. And she's had a really important role and characterization in, like, 3 straight episodes prior to Agony of a Witch and this last season finale. And it means a lot to her and also to lose everybody around them. I think I hope it's going to come into play in season 2 with her family background, whatever their role with the Emperor's Coven is. And to me, it's fair that she took a backseat for the season finale exposition. But I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in season 2, and I'm very afraid, like, just specifically for the Emperor's Coven, and also because Lilith was her mentor. So, like, is she going to know about what happened? Like, clearly we saw she was watching everything that happened on the news on her little TV crystal ball thing. So it's not like she's going to be completely unaware of this, and I'm very afraid. Like, we had the tryout scene flashback with Lilith and Ida trying out for the Emperor's Coven. Like, are her parents going to force her to do that? Is she going to have to duel, like, Basha to get into the Coven if there's one more spot? I don't want it, but I do, so Luz can help her work past it.
With Basha.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But it wasn't Grudgeby, it was, like, legitimately a duel, like Hamilton style. 10 Duel Commandments.
Yeah. No.
Edith threw away her shot. I'm sticking by it.
Oh man, she did, and then she got cursed.
She kind of did, yeah.
She's already cursed.
She did, in the best way.
Oh man, I didn't know.
I also was on the train of, like, I want a Lumity, like, attempted confession or, like, hand cheek kiss, but I'm really, like, kind of glad we didn't get it because it would have felt out of place.
Kiss? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been great, but no, not the time.
Yeah, Michelle, brief no Lumity thoughts.
The only way I think this would have worked without it feeling really out of place, like Aly was saying, is if, like, very beginning of the episode, Luz, like, goes to Amity for moral support, like, oh man, my world's falling apart. Amity's just sitting on her bed with her cast leg, and she's like, "Aw, well, let's talk it out." And she gives her like an emotional pep talk that speaks to her heart, and it gives her the strength to. But again, like, I like that Luz kind of just had this power within her anyway. Like, she loves Ida enough on her own to be able to do this for her, and it has, like, I do think it's nice that she was able to have this moment to just showcase herself and how far she's come, regardless of love interest stuff. Like, I do think, like, that's pretty nice. And, like, honestly, I feel like for me at this point, like, there have been so many wonderful queer shows in children's animation that now I'm getting a little pickier, and I'm like, okay, well, romance is a big part of being a queer person, but also, like, outside character development is important too, and you should be able to do both well, and for them each to have their moments, not one or the other. So I do like that they prioritize Luz just for plot stuff right now. We'll always have more time for sweet stuff. And honestly, yes, I think the sweet stuff hits harder when it's unexpected and, like, we never know when we're going to get it. Not that they should wait too long, but I think...
well, now that Luz is, like, officially stuck here, there's no excuse for no dates.
Exactly! Like, we were so worried, right? Like, oh no, Luz is going to go home and we'll be able to, like...
already no excuse.
Time. And now she's stuck there for a while, so it's great. They can date for 30 years now, and she just...
They can't do the Earth date on Earth
Lumity 100 years.
Though. Yeah,
yes, they can.
Lumity 6 seasons in a movie, 100. Yeah,
they're gonna. When the Emperor makes the portal, he's gonna say, "Okay, you two go have fun. Just call me when you're done."
I'm waiting for you guys. I can't tell you. Who is
He's the biggest. The Emperor's the biggest Lumity shipper.
Oh, so that's what the Day of Unity is. It's the
Day of Unity? Day of Lumity? Yes, coincidence?
We cracked it.
You did it, guys. Okay. That was the secret message all along.
Yeah.
That was wrong. That was it.
Yeah, that witch loses a true way thing. Let's not pay as much attention to the minor puzzle things.
It's not
very minor.
It's referring to the sisters, and they can't do, like, normal witch magic anymore. It makes sense.
Yes. I mean, it makes sense, but it's not like it was like, oh, this is so incredible. Like, it all come together.
And then Luz loses her way home.
That too, yeah.
And she lost her way. Yeah, it's like it just spelled out a theme of the finale. Yeah. So I hear you guys. I partly agree, but I also think, like, they could. Why not? Why couldn't Amity have joined Luz in this finale? I think you can accomplish the same storytelling beats, the same character growth with Luz if the priority of the show was to have Luz and Amity as the central couple, then you could have had them grow together and face the Emperor together, and Luz grows a person along, like, on her own, along with being with Amity. I think there's totally a way you could do that. It's like, oh, Amity's in a cast. Well, they put Amity in a cast so she wouldn't be in the finale. Like, that's the thinking, is you're like, okay, Amity doesn't fit into what we want to do. Let's put her into a cast. By the way, this is why I was predicting this. If you put a character in the cast from a writing perspective, it means you don't want them in the story for a little bit. And then you get the scoop moment from that. Like, so it all came down from that order. But, like, you could have just told the season differently. And the reason why I was pretty vehement about, like, this is what I thought they were doing is because I felt like all along, like, Amity is not, like, a main character priority for the show. I was just kind of trying to read the show's intentions. But that doesn't mean, like, I agree with that approach. Like, I think the show could have switched priorities. Like, the show starts, Amity's not in the main cast. She's not introduced till episode 3. She comes on strong in these 3 episodes in a row right before the finale. I agree. I don't know if that was the exact production order. There might have been one in the middle. But, Amity's only appeared in half of the episodes of the show. And that's kind of like the role she's played. And it felt pretty jarring to eventually get her in this main position for several episodes in a row, and especially, like, the biggest episode of the show of Grom for a lot of people. And, then she's back sidelined in a very specific way. Like, I think you could have started to integrate Amity more. It would have made sense with kind of everything that was going on. I think it's not just that you could have done that. I think it is, like, specifically jarring that she's not here.
Yeah.
Like, you have to check in with her a few times. I think you can move in this direction in season 2, and it doesn't mean you can't, but,
you have to.
Have to. Okay.
They're setting it up so they will do that, I think.
I have a thought.
Yes.
This is the only time I'm going to say this in a positive way, but I think we can really take a lot from Star and Marco's relationship here.
I'm listening.
With Luz and Amity, because, like, yes, they were sort of co-leads, but Star was always going to be more of the main character. And I know they had more seasons and Marco got more focused later on. He had a whole harem and it was a thing, but Luz is the main character. Her life doesn't revolve around Amity, and like just because they're both wonderful characters, I think like I understand and respect that decision to let Luz kind of focus on a majority of things, some of which involve Amity, but everything doesn't involve Amity because Amity is one part of her life, and she's like not even as far along in her feelings being conscious to her, it seems, as Amity's are. And so like especially for season 1, like it took Star and Mark, and I can't believe I'm talking about them, but it took them 2 seasons to really even sort of start to get on the same page, and then 2 more to really even cement that. And they were best friends. Like, Amity's not even her best friend. So, like, yeah, I don't think this is like a She-Ra situation where like half the show just like focuses on each of the main characters who are in love. I think like this is much more of a Star Marco kind of situation where like one person's the main person and they have someone who's very important to their lives, but it's not necessarily always going to have them together because the main person's story is the one we're mostly going to follow. And like that's a pretty normal thing to do. And just because like we stand them both in their relationship so hard, like I don't think they necessarily have to do everything together because, like, I respect them as people and I want their whole lives to be fleshed out, not just their love. Because, again, I'm going to be picky now. We have enough to choose from. I can say that.
Yeah, it's a very good point that, like, if you're queer, that's not all you are, and it shouldn't be. Yeah. Like, just like anything about your personality.
You know,
like, I think, not just a weeb.
Sorry, Aly.
No, go ahead.
I think, going out there and trying to smash the patriarchy and all that, that's pretty clear.
Yes.
Yeah, so I totally agree they can development outside of the romance, and I think you could have had Amity there and it not just be like a romantic thing. They could have just been fighting together. The big difference with the big difference between Star and Marco is a main character alongside Star. I agree Star is the primary focus, but Marco's in like almost every episode. Marco's there beside Star all the time. Amity's not a main character. Like that's the thing, is she's in the supporting cast. She's not in half the episodes. I think it's kind of a different situation here where where Star is all about Star and Marco's dynamic. Like, it's not romantic and you want to build up time. This show has not committed to that. Like we thought it kind of was going there maybe, but it's definitely more this season at least was more interested in Ida and Luz's like kind of mentorship relationship, and that's what the finale ended up focusing on. I think we're gonna see if it shifts focus to make Amity in the main cast. That is my number one priority, I think, for season 2.
Absolutely going to.
Putting
Marco
Amity
and Star
into the
also
main cast.
started out as friends. Like these two started out as pretty much. You're gonna hate it, but it's like enemies to lovers. Like they really
totally.
Amity didn't like Luz. She wanted her to leave.
They were enemies for like one episode, if you want to call it that.
No, not one. They were enemies for half of the first season.
No, they really were. They really weren't. But
they were
episode
reluctant.
7, reluctant. They're bonding. They're bonding a lot by episode 7. But and like you could do it like Star and Marco, but I think you can just get them together quickly. I think that's valid too. But I do think they put the dynamic of like Amity crushing on Luz not realizing, so they can focus on Luz. Like Luz isn't thinking about that yet. I think that checks out. I think they've approached it in a good way. But I really think Amity needs to be in the main cast in season 2 because my biggest criticism of this season is it's felt very jarring that some episodes Amity's the most important character, some episodes Amity's not there at all. I think the show would feel a lot more resonant to me. I think whereas season 1, I think sometimes felt a little dissonant. If Amity's there, we focus on Ida and Lilith and Amity, like they all can be in the same. All can be at the same place at the same time. I don't know if Amity needs to run away from home and live in the owl house, but she could visit a lot. That would be ideal.
But no, she'd hate that. I am worried. I am like, this is serious. Like, do we think Amity or Lilith hates Hootie more at this point? Could either of them live with him? I don't think so. I don't know.
We need that drama.
Don't kill Hootie, please. They're gonna like.
Yeah, my prediction
Can't
is
build a house.
my prediction is Hootie
Hootie
is
can destruct-
Hootie admires Amity after she beat him up. She's gonna like
No,
Hootie's like
He's
Yeah,
gonna
because
stand
Lilith
for, like,
couldn't handle him,
no,
but Amity like.
yeah,
destroyed-
Hootie's like, whoa, someone could take me. I
Yeah.
like it, you know.
Oh my
so,
god! Oh,
but-
whoa, that's phrasing. Anyway,
Not like that, but friendship. Reluctant friendship will form. in
I'm
season
I'm
2.
convinced that Amity. I mean, she has to be a main character by the second season. I still kind of not characterize her. I consider her like one of the main characters, if not like the second one, because they keep emphasizing her name and how the Emperor's Coven is important to her, and it's gonna be a huge plot point. They can't ignore.
So
it.
in terms of the Amity and the Emperor's Coven, that was in episode 5, the mentorship with Lilith, and it really did not come back this
Yeah,
season.
see, that's like one of the reasons why I was like, oh, like it would make sense if Amity, like, you know, going in was like if Amity appears, because they introduced her as being like a protege of Lilith for the Emperor's Coven, and that's like a super important thing to her. And I'm like, you know, that plus, you know, narratively building up her importance over the like several eps before the finale, it's like, you know, Amity should be there and she wasn't, and I think that was like the most like confusing thing.
Someone on Twitter pointed out like it is kind of relevant in the episode before this in Agony of a Witch, because like you could see
She's looking
at the
obviously,
poster. Yeah, I mean we see
Like they nod to it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We see in episode you said 5, Dylan, that where Lilith helps Amity cheat. Like you could tell like she's not a good mentor. Like we know that their relationship isn't the best, and that's why she tells the poster to shut up. Like I just want to see their interactions now, like especially if she knows what happened.
So now with Lilith potentially on the outs of the Emperor's Coven, we've resolved that potential conflict between Amity's love of Luz and Amity's deference to the Emperor's Coven. Like maybe Amity will be fully anti-Emperor's Coven. I don't think it makes much sense.
No, it's going to make it way more complicated.
Well, of course, like the parents, we're starting to see the parents, and that'll be a conflict. It doesn't mean that's what Amity wants, but that'll be a pressure on her. We do see the parents briefly
that's the whole
in the
point.
finale
It's not what
in the
she
background.
wants.
Like if her parents could stop her from having her best friend be her best friend, I mean, like I think there's like an implied extreme amount of control they have over their kid.
Yeah, I think she's breaking free of that. She's starting to break free.
But it's not easy. Like I think her parents are like tougher than the average tough parents, and that's like, ugh.
Like, I want to know how the twins, like, why are they not focusing on the twins? Like, they're the older siblings right there. Shouldn't they be getting more of the pressure? I don't understand.
Maybe we need more twins. There have been off-screen stuff. No, Amity's parents, I think, are one of the only people in position to be villains in season 2.
They are
so I think they're
way more terrifying.
Oh my
god! Way more.
I mean, like I said, we don't have many.
More than I dislike her parents, but maybe that's a hot
I don't know
take.
about that. Emperor seemed kind of cool.
That is a hot take.
We don't have many surrogates for the Emperor. Like I said, now that Lilith's gone, I think the Amity's parents might fill that Emperor surrogate role.
Oh god!
I mean, I bet they do like admire him in some ways. Like somehow, even though we don't know anything about them, really, that sort of checks out just in terms of their vibe.
Like, what do they do? Are they just rich people, or do they work for the coven?
We don't know. Okay, let's talk about the Emperor though. Mythology.
They just don't do anything all day. Just watch it.
They don't do anything all day.
They own which stocks? Okay. Possible. The Emperor. So we learn a lot about what's going on with the Emperor here, and the reason that reminded me of that is because probably Amity's parents would be deferential to the Emperor because it seems like everyone kind of buys into this. Emperor's presented himself as kind of a messianic figure with the fallen Titan. He speaks to the Titan. We don't know if he actually speaks to the Titan. We don't know if he. We also don't know if he believes.
We know that he lied because he said, "Oh, the Titan told me to let you to go." No. Luz just like he thought he was bargaining with Luz, and then Luz cracked his face and blew up his chin.
Yeah, so he does lie at the end. That's true.
Yeah, he straight up lied, and it's like he still could
talk to the Titan sometimes and leverage it other times.
He's like one of those religious people. It's like, oh yeah, God told me like this. That's is exactly what we should do today.
It's a cult. Like even in the book, like I want to read this excerpt if you let me, because it tells you how much of a colonizer he is. It says before he ascended to the throne, Emperor Belos gained prominence as a crusader for unity during the Savage Ages. He believes that chaos comes from wild magic and can only bring peace by controlling such magic in a coven system. He rules by fear and an iron fist. His past remains largely unknown. Nevertheless, the Savage Ages caused such devastation that many people have proved willing to follow him. Like, it's just out of fear. Nobody really knows what he's about. They're just afraid of everything, and it's disgusting, and I hate it.
I love how he just frames like, free-spirited magic is just savage, like giving it that kind of title to just make it seem so evil. And even how he was using Ida as like an owl lady, like in her form, to be like, this is the punishment for going against the system. You don't want to end up like this. Like, yeah, you're right. It is
saying things are like the Titan's will.
Yeah, and like blaming it on some higher power that doesn't even exist, probably.
Yeah, so to me, this ties this notion that the Emperor just ascended 50 years ago. This is pretty recent, and that their system is new. This kind of ties the show together for me. I kind of wish they'd established it earlier, but they do establish it in these 2 episodes. I think they briefly say it in the second to last, and King recounts it in more detail through the book here. But yeah, this is like Emperor's a new. They used to be all wild magic. That's kind of what Ida represents, and the Emperor's trying to control everyone through fits with our conformity themes with the conformatorium and stuff. Is trying to tie it through the Coven system. And it's interesting that the Titan gave animated maybe all this life, made it all magical there. We have this Titan looming over them. I think I've seen people speculating, is the Emperor a human who got magic through the Titan?
I've seen that recently. And
are all the witches humans who just happened to be in the Boiling Isles when everyone was granted magic?
Is this going to be like
there?
Star versus?
I was hoping this would be like our weird amphibia hot takes about the king, but I mean, I'll save that.
Just waiting for you to bring that up.
We think everyone's a human in disguise trying to go back to
I frequently
they
say
are.
that.
The guy in the owl hoodie is the Duolingo owl, but also he's a human.
So the Emperor sends a guy in is it an owl hoodie or is it an actual owl? What is the...
Oh god, like the face is made from an actual owl?
Oh my god.
He has a
it's like one of the weird creature people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's I thought it was like a mask, but it could be his face. We don't know yet. So they're going to be someone spying on them. But yeah, I like having the setup now with the Emperor there, and the Emperor we know the Emperor wants the portal. He's constructing a circular portal. I've seen that many a times now in animated shows. So Luz blew up the thing, but I'm like, why don't just go after Luz? Why are you letting her go? He's like, I don't, who cares? He blew it up. I can still create the portal from it, I guess.
Why is he using magic though? Like, I think it's weird he's building a portal, right? Like, isn't that weird?
Right,
like,
so a lot of people commented him using technology. That's interesting. Yeah. That could be a sign he's a human.
They all have technology in some form in this world, though. Like, they have the crystal balls as a TV.
Yeah, what's the difference between magic-powered technology and technology, I don't know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess.
Magic manifests as technology to us, but to them it's magic. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's making the portal. He says to Luz, I don't want to invade Earth. Interesting.
He says that's not the Titan's will. It's not that boring.
Will. Yeah.
That just
literally said, I'm not that boring.
He's like, really? It's even worse than that, probably.
He wants to destroy everything. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know.
I am curious how magic acts in the real world, because we had that brief struggle between Lilith, and it's like...
It seems like they can't use magic.
I don't know.
No, witches can. Humans can.
Lilith could, but Luz couldn't. So I wonder if that has something to do with why the Emperor wants to get in. I feel like it's magic related because magic is tied to his power. So I feel like it's like a very he wants to do something to either get more powerful or to limit other people's potential to happen. Like, maybe he'll ostracize people to like Earth if they can't use magic there. I don't know, but I feel like it's about magic for him. I feel like that's all he cares about.
Witches have the sacks of bile connected to their hearts, whereas Luz taps into the magic of the realm, right? So yeah, that's why she can't use the magic there. It makes sense to me on Earth. So that's going to be an interesting plot point, and so now we kind of have a status quo where the Emperor's preparing for the Day of Unity, where he's going to use the portal. The Day of Lumity, right? So where he's going to culminate his ship, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say it's his ship. Don't curse the ship before it happens.
It's happening.
If he gets them together, I'm fine with him.
We have no choice but to
we have no choice but to stand. Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic going to season 2. We do kind of, it's like, they're going to just be okay with Luz going to magic school, but spying on them? I guess so. Seems weird, but
That's
sure.
the thing. Like, the teacher in the crowd was also like supportive of no petrification of Ida. So how are the kids going to be going back to school, like, in spite of all this sudden anarchy in the community of, like,
right? So
wherever
there
this
seems
is.
to be seeds of anti-emperor sentiment, which he didn't necessarily see.
How are they going to school? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, a good look for Principal Bump, who's initially seemed terrible, but has been
Emperor
agreeable
theory
at a few points.
Thank you.
He's not the Emperor, yeah. He's just
oh my
a weird
god,
guy.
I'm sad that can't be a theory now. That's amazing. His alter ego was
We don't
the
know that
friendly
he can't be in
headman.
two places at the same time.
He is wearing that Emperor's wearing a mask. That's true, Sarah. The theory's not dead.
What if it's just an illusion? Like,
What if it's Hollow Emperor?
Yeah, exactly. Hollow Emperor.
We also, I mean, we also see him like powered by potentially talisman in the last episode, and that we don't see that fully this episode.
God,
He
I
does
was so disturbed and worried
they get
for
Albert back. Yeah,
That supports the
God.
human theory, though, right? That he doesn't have biomagic, so
Yeah.
he'd have to use like extra supercharged.
yeah. Maybe
magic
that's
to
his
do it.
version of Luz's glyphs. Is he just crushes talisman into his face.
Better never
Weird.
meet that queen. Gonna want to like just hoard her juice forever.
Yeah, I'm
She's
mad we
huge.
didn't. I thought they were going to call in a favor from her and like get
Yeah,
all the talisman to
that was
attack
Why
possible.
him.
did they do that? She owes Ida favors. Would have been perfect.
She'll come back in season 2. Maybe
Yeah,
she'll
we'll
help
get,
protect
we'll get
them.
Batqueen back. Yeah.
But also, since he has the portal, how is Luz sending those videos to her mom or even texts?
Right,
Like,
so
she doesn't have
I
service
interpret
anymore.
it as she was just recording it to show her in the
Yeah,
future.
to give her later, because she was like not even pretending to not be
But
in
she-
the world anymore.
She was speaking in like the present tense, not present tense, but she was like, "I'll find my way back."
She's
to you."
like she's
a
like
journal.
vlogging to
Yeah.
show her mom. She'll
and she
release
said,
the
"Leave a light
vlogs
on
later.
for me." This isn't. I mean, it's vlogging, but to be a vlog, you have to upload it within a certain time.
It's a
Is that a
vlog just for
requirement?
herself right now. Right now, it's like a
Personal
journal, and
vlog.
later it'll
Oh
be.
yeah, it's like a journal. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
it's
journal,
a
yeah,
video
but it
journal.
doesn't seem that way. The way she was talking to it made it seem like
It was
she
a
was
little confusing. Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean,
a
but she-
journal letter that she's gonna show her mom when she's able to.
Yeah.
That's how she's justifying hiding everything from her.
Where
She'll
is-
start to-
creepy Luz. Is she in the human realm? I'm so
Right.
I
Okay.
like-
So we don't see
I
the
am,
payoff to
so
the
done with
letters.
creepy Lou's theory already, and it hasn't even happened yet. I just
no,
like
it's
I
because of
don't-
the letters.
So
Wait,
the letter.
No,
Yeah. So,
creepy Luz
why would
is.
Ida just write those letters to me?
Her-
It just makes so much sense that Ida would just like do that.
Luz's voice actress brought up creepy Luz in an interview, like when the season first started. She was like, "Watch out for creepy Luz. You're gonna see
Watch
her."
out?
And you're like, what?
Huh?
Watch out for so my read on this, which some people don't agree with. I think everything in the finale supports the Emperor writing the letters because I think he baited Luz into the portal to gain access to the portal because he wants the portal. So to me,
But
that
how
still
is
all
he
checks
sending
out.
the letters if that portal was what he needed?
Right. So he is
Oh
some
my god,
he's
that's
some
true.
some slot, but not a full portal he can go through or something. You know, I don't know. We
Yeah,
don't
You
know.
have a
Hang
portal
on,
mail
hang on.
slot.
He's a
The
portal
Emperor-
mail slot.
The
Yeah.
Emperor is very calculated. He doesn't seem like a man who would just make a lot of rookie mistakes, like spelling her name wrong the first try and
That's
crossing it
Oh,
out. That
maybe
seems
it's
like a Ida
Kiki.
thing.
Kiki wrote
Oh
the
god,
letters.
he's the one with
So
the mailbox.
Kiki's just
Maybe Kiki did it.
yeah.
I would believe that because Kiki's so I keep saying like Kiki might be the mastermind. Maybe she's the one in control of the
But
letters.
why would she spell the name wrong? She doesn't. I think Kiki just doesn't care. So that's why. I
Maybe
think she-
her intern did it because she's too busy to actually.
Kiki is the intern. I feel like.
Who's her intern?
I don't know if her intern is like a student who
Maybe.
just yeah.
She spelled Luz's name wrong. No
That's
way.
what they're training Amity to be, and she would have written the letters.
Yeah, secretary.
Yeah. Okay. Any other predictions or hopes? How about hopes for season? We've talked about more Amity. We've talked about Lumity. And anything jumping out?
Amity's parents in the background.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
God.
that seems to be something we'll do. That was a Azula in the back of the Agony Kai kind of moment.
Oh,
Like
Jesus
they're coming in big next season. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm like, that's my hope, but also my biggest fear.
Yeah, I'm scared to meet them, but I feel like it's important that we meet them.
Well, if they're a big villain next season, that means Amity is super prominent. So I'm on board.
Yes, exactly.
I don't like this like condemning random parents to like villainy. Like I think there's like a little more you gotta do to reach the villain like
But that's what season 2 is for.
namesake.
They'll get
I
there.
mean,
We
maybe they're
believe
not
in them.
sketchy right now. They're just tough parents. And I don't know. It's hard to be a parent. I'm not a parent.
I mean,
There's
we
some
already know that they tried to force her to be
This
friends
is
with
way
Sarah.
worse
That's already
than-
pretty
Pretty bad.
villainous.
Yeah, they made her break up her friendship with Willow. That's terrible.
Like they
Yeah.
they
I know
blocked
it's
her from
terrible,
entering
but it's
school. This is
like,
toxic
It's
parenting.
not Bellows. I just don't want to put her.
Yeah,
on
they're not like a Bellows, but they're like a
They're
personal
worse.
villain. They're Amity's
not.
personal villain.
They're worse. That's my hot take.
Okay,
They're
so
not.
yeah, that's that. We'll see. Yeah, but I don't know. I just Amity, please, in the more Amity.
Yeah.
Lumity.
I want
Okay, how about
Lumity.
Lumity? Lumity prediction for season 2. Like, when are they gonna get together? End of the season? Not until after the season?
Oh, I think
Middle
we're.
of the season?
I think Luz is gonna find out about how Amity feels definitely by the end of season 2. But beyond that, I don't know.
That's so
Like,
many
how
episodes just for that one development.
Do we know
There's
how many
gonna
we're
be
getting
so
yet?
much
Even
great build up.
We certainly presumably it's 20 episodes again. We don't know for sure, and we haven't heard if it's beyond renewed beyond season 2 yet. But we could do Luz has a crush on Amity without realizing Amity's a crush on her. We could do that.
Yeah.
We could
midway,
do-
that's where it's going to begin. Like Luz is going to have a gay awakening. Well, she's
No,
already
I-
had it, but
I actually I don't know. I feel like a big moment in the premiere. Big moment in the premiere. Not like getting together, but like change that I don't need the
Yes.
Amity crushing on Luz status quo for like half the season. Like we can move in a new direction in the beginning of the season.
both of them crushing on each other is really
That's
what I
good too.
want.
Yeah.
Like both of them being stupid oblivious. That's all I need.
I feel like Amity would figure it out if Luz had a crush on her.
I
She's
mean,
smart.
She might be
You
scared of
think.
it. Maybe just because doesn't mean you follow through. So maybe
That's
there's like
true.
trepidation that it'll change their whole dynamic and that'll like
Mhm.
ruin their
Definitely,
Doesn't
friendship.
want to
yeah.
ruin their friendship.
Yeah,
Classic
so-
trope. But also, she's like, maybe this is like how humans are to everybody. Like I don't
Oh
know.
God, no, we can't do
Don't
that
do that.
because Luz
That's
is
so
already
stupid.
so oblivious to friends.
So-
and stuff. If Amity's
That's
like
what
that,
they-
there's no
they do.
hope.
It would be too painful. We can't do
Yes, you do. It's fine if they're both stupid. Then it's
that's
justified.
Then they deserve
fine
each
for
other.
both
Yeah, it's
stupid.
true.
Yeah, they're perfect for each other.
No, I feel like we had Wing It Like Witches was this whole episode centered on the dynamic of Amity crushing on Luz without Luz knowing. So I feel like we did that. I mean, it was great, so we could do it for even more episodes. But we already did a whole episode with that. We could switch it up right away.
There's
We could-
there's no limit. It doesn't exist.
the one that does not exist. Yeah,
It doesn't.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen based on one. In order for this to happen, which is them getting together during the season, if not early-ish in the season, which I ultimately want because I really want that dynamic during the show. I think that'd be a really good thing to explore. I haven't seen it before for many shows. In order for that to happen, Amity would have to be a main character, and they would have to move quickly. So it's like a lot to have happen. But I think it's in play at least.
Oh yeah,
They really focused on it, Luz and Amity at the end of the season.
it will happen either in the middle or the end. I'm calling it. It has to happen here.
They gotta get a
that's
date
fair,
by
yeah.
the end, by the finale. Yeah.
First date is the finale.
Did you
There
imagine?
also, there's always the possibility that they realize they like each other, but something keeps them apart.
Yes,
Yeah, no, I don't
and
want
that
that.
something is the coven. I hate it.
I don't want it.
Hmm.
We like we said, we've seen this from Starco. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this.
But it's fine. If it's queer, it's
It would be
Yeah,
better,
no
but
rules.
it would
Everything's
be
new again suddenly when you make it queer. That
it
is true.
It's so sad, but it's true.
I mean, I don't want to see that play out for very long. I think
No,
it's
me neither.
possible
We
that
could
it
be there
could-
for a little bit.
Like
yeah,
5
yeah.
episodes max, please. That's too much
Yeah,
already.
5
I'm fine
episodes
with that.
is
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. Anything else from the last episode? I think we covered most things. Anything from Agony, the witch. Everyone's talking about the big fight scene with Lilith and Ida. It was a DBZ fight scene. Voted by
Come
Spencer
on.
Just
That's
say
a
anime.
compliment.
Right.
Not all
Yeah,
anime
it's
is
just for
DBZ.
anime in general.
I thought all anime was DBZ. I don't know.
Oh,
It
God.
would be
Don't-
better if it was, honestly. In the grand scheme of
Don't.
things, it would be much
Not
better.
start. I swear to God.
These takes are too hot for this.
Okay, Hootie sucks. How about that take? Is
Oh
that
my
too hot?
God. Okay, you need to delete that. You can't post
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry. I apologize. I have to cut that out. Back to Lilith and Ida. fight. Nobody heard that.
I
right?
thought it was like very dramatic and very emotionally intense, very beautifully animated.
Oh my God, Spencer Wan is a god.
Yeah, and then big dramatic moments at the end with Ida sacrificing herself for Luz.
I appreciate that you said that episode isn't really your speed because it used to be mine, and I'm getting really like emotionally drained from it. As great as it was,
Maybe
like,
next
waiting-
year it'll be your speed, but not this year, right? Like,
maybe yeah, but I mean, it was like agony waiting this week, but I also really liked it. Like I've told you guys this, I even tweeted about it. I love watching a show that airs weekly instead of binging it, so we can all have time to talk about it and sit in our agony together, and it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sitting in agony over a communal show is like literally the best feeling. I've missed
so much
it.
Fun. Even in my 20s, it's fun.
It's still fun. That's true. This was our life.
In our teens,
teenagers in college. Yeah,
that's so long ago.
Who knows? Disney might binge air this next season. It was fun.
I think they made such a. I think they're going to see some good feedback from this, at least in terms of the fandom, which seems to be part of the desire for the ratings crew to I really hope Cartoon does this. Like they kind of have been with some other shows, but they could be better. Stop trying to do this on if you're gonna air this on TV, don't you dare treat it like Netflix. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand. Good Lord, they're completely different ways of viewing media.
Disney also does the weird thing where they put on their app before the TV airing. So
Cartoon does that too. Yeah. It's just
it's just the new way of doing it. Disney this year made a renowned effort to air things weekly. They've been going back and forth for a while, and they Amphibia and the show, and they have been doing weekly. The show has always been weekly, though, notably. So I do think Disney kind of considers this their big plot show. So I think they would, if any show, they would keep this one weekly. I feel like.
That's a good point.
Okay, Sarah. Anything else from either episode or any season 2 or any closing thoughts?
There was a line I don't think we mentioned that Luz says when she's talking to Lilith and Lilith's trying to get her to trust her. Luz's like, I don't like your whole deal. And she points her finger in a circle. That was iconic among the many things that Luz says in the episode. She's just so fierce, and I gotta stand.
That was really fierce.
No choice.
Yeah.
No choice.
That was a really good line.
That was Luz speaking for the fandom right there with
I don't like your deal.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Aly, anything else?
Yes, because I have a note about Augustus's dad. We were introduced to him, and we have his last name now too. It's Porter. Everybody has a last name. That's important.
What's Willow's last name?
Willow Park. Yeah.
Park.
And I'm still convinced that one of her dads is Korean because that's a Korean last name.
Yeah, we still don't know if it's because she's Korean or if it's because she does plant
It's
magic.
both. It's totally both.
It's probably both.
It's a pun on both, yeah. Okay.
Also, the updated credits made me happy. Even if it's just a little detail, I'm glad when they do that.
What was in the credits?
The Ida having her gem be black and her heterochromia.
Okay. In the closing credits?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, because there was no intro this time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, there was no intro.
wow,
that was also very jarring.
Very noticeable.
I'm really uncomfortable with her different eye colors. I don't know. I just want her to be okay.
Michelle?
I just want her. I am kind of really upset on a personal level that I can't stand Ida the same way if she's not gonna have just this insane amount of magic power. But again, that is personal growth I will undergo adapting to new Ida, who's gonna find strength in a new way, and that's fine. It's just a little.
She's gonna be the most powerful Cliff Witch alongside Luz. It'll be good.
Cliff Witch, yeah.
That's true. Cliff Witch.
Yeah, I'm real excited for Ida going in a new direction next season. I like that, like Michelle talked about, I like that they did actually culminate the Cursed plotline this season. We'd speculated that even earlier in the podcast. I like that they brought everything to a head, and this is a character that has all this as a foundation, and we can do new and interesting things with her. I think a lot of possibilities to go with Ida's character. It's really interesting. Michelle, anything else from the episodes or final thoughts?
Yeah, I had one final thought on Ida. Surprise! When she's still in her owl form, but she's conscious of her human self in the cage, and she's talking to Luce in the room, and she's saying you gotta get out of here, it's too late for me. She brings up explicitly I had fun for a while, but now I got caught, and I'm gonna just face it. But I have no regrets about how I spent my life, and I was oh my god, this is why I love Ida. She's just so unapologetically herself, and herself happens to be the kind of person we all kind of in our hearts want to be, in the sense that she's just she doesn't care what anyone thinks. She's so good at what she does. She's very off the beaten track. She just she has a fun life, and she does what she wants, and she's so capable, and she never doubts that. And just having that opposed to a very patriarchal, systematic world that I know we're going to destroy in this show at this point. I'm just like so excited. They make it so easy to love her, and they give her stuff like that to say, and she just backs it up, and it's just really nice. I like Hida a lot.
And she's a great adoptive mom / aunt mentor.
Mhm.
Like, she's great.
/ pet owner. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Wait, so Luz is the pet.
/
This is
Hootie
not the
Wrangler. She wears many hats.
Hootie is the pet, yeah, not King.
I thought. Well, I actually
No, it's
thought
King.
you were
It's
talking
definitely
about
King.
Okay, I want to
Definitely
know one
King.
thing. Like at the beginning, King is like, Ian and I don't always really get along, but I care about her too. And I'm like, when has there been like that much animosity between King and Ida? Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like King is Ida's pet, and they love each other. Like, I
Yeah,
don't get. I don't
that-
He is a
early in the
pigment.
season, they had a lot of like, we have different approaches to things, plot lines.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of that early, but yeah, that didn't
there,
really
like,
resonate
there was,
anymore.
but like there was never anything there. Like I never I wouldn't have seen like King being reluctant in any way to help save Ida.
I agree with that. Felt weird, but I think in their eyes that was a through line for the season, was different
Yeah.
approaches with the two of them, so they referenced it then. But it's just they love each other too much, so it didn't, like, of course he's gonna help. Yeah.
Yeah.
My last thought I didn't mention was I like I said, I think with the presentation of this mythology with King's book and also in their past episode, I think the season comes together a lot better for me. I now understand Ida is our wild witch. Like, we know that there are wild witches who don't conform to the emperor's to the emperor's system of magic. So I now understand Ida's role better, which I was a little bit unsure of earlier in the season. But also, what that makes me excited for is meeting potential other wild witches next season.
Yes, it's true.
Thank you for bringing that up. I almost forgot about that.
Like, in addition to Amity's parents and that owl spy, I think just it's a lock that we'll meet like a flock of wild witches at some point elsewhere on the.
What if like the
Can
Bat
you
Queen knows
imagine?
about them because she's the
Yeah,
one
maybe the
protecting
Bat-
the palismans who were abandoned? Maybe they were abandoned by the wild witches.
And yeah, that could be a connection, but this seems like the easiest in for new characters for me would be the wild witches, and like they're the rebellion or something, and like maybe
there's
find an
gonna be
existing
a rebellion.
Let
Definitely a
Amity
rebellion,
be
yeah.
wild witch.
No, she will. I think Lilith's gonna train Amity for the rebellion, like as her like due diligence at this point.
Maybe that's what Lilith does, is she goes off to be a
Yeah.
wild witch even further into
Oh,
the wilds
yes.
than Ida is. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Please.
a possibility. Okay, so yeah, I think there's a lot. This finale, in addition to just being like, I think a great episode, IMO second best Spying Grom episode of the season, also brings up a lot of really interesting plot threads for the next season. In addition to Lumity, which also is my final thought, is Lumity next
Of
season.
course.
That's
Everyone's
all of
Yeah.
our final thoughts. Don't lie.
I'm interested, after this No Lumity 2 finale, is the fandom going to still be so Lumity focused in off season? Probably.
Hungry
I've
Higher
seen
than
so much
ever.
fan art already, not even relating to this
Yeah.
episode from today.
When they don't give us stuff in this show that just makes us write more fan fiction. Hello.
Yeah, you need to add in all the headcanon.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to fill in the gaps, so that's what we'll be doing. We need to
I already have like 10 ideas that I need to write down.
do it. Yes. Amity will be out of the cast by the time next season starts,
Yes!
so we got to
Oh.
fill in the gaps between that.
Are we gonna have a time skip? Like, how big is it gonna be?
I think not that big, probably.
Maybe like a week, just so everyone gets a little more settled after
Yeah,
all the
something like
stuff
that,
that went
yeah.
down.
As long as Amity
But-
can be out of her cast.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, again, the cast was device, so she wouldn't be in the finales. Hopefully now it'll be off, so she can be back in the show. But okay, so we can start to wrap up. Let us know what you thought of anything about our podcast on the Owl House at the end of the season. We'll see if this podcast gets as many views as the Lumity ones. I'm suspecting not.
Oh, come on.
That's what you think. We did
Yeah,
talk
that's what
about
you
Lumity
think.
on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna do the Lumity clickbait headline, but we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna end up doing that. I'm gonna just recut the finale, but add Amity in. That's gonna
Do
be the
She's
did
just
one
always in the
screenshot.
background on
Yeah.
the bed.
Mish Bolin. Yeah, exactly. So let us know, YouTube comments, overlyanimated.com. And you make sure you're subscribed. We'll see if we have any Owl House off-season podcasts or anything. We can see about that. And we'll be awaiting further news for the Owl House. We talk about it on our Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord. And if you liked this, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Beatriz, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Ryan Skilax, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael Needle, and Phoenician. Check out other stuff at overlyanimated.com, including Infinity Train coverage, Amphibia coverage. We had Glitch Tech stuff and our Ghibli rewatch series, Miraculous Ladybug. All that at overlyanimated.com. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
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 Bye.